Welcome to the Thistledowns News Reading. This is my first broadcast. I am your host, Mr. Thistle Bloom. Congratulations, idiots. Congratulations are in order, I think. The profoundly verbose leftist ideological minority has successfully dismantled one of the oldest and most successful youth organizations in United States history. The Scouts of America is seeking to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. This comes to us just 3 years after the group was forced to, by ostensible public outcry, to include gay men as scout troop leaders, and just over 2 years after the first accusations of sexual abuse perpetrated against young boys since the inclusion of gay scout troop leaders, as well as on the heels of a lawsuit filed against Scouts of America by the Girl Scouts of America for appropriation of their targeted demographic, which resulted in massive professional damages through loss of revenue, which itself was the result of the Scouts of America abandoning their over a century-old policy of only accepting male applicants, again in response to ostensible public outcry, artificed and promulgated by the profoundly verbose leftist ideological minority. Let us take a moment of silence to grieve the loss of this institution, which was dedicated to the embetterment of society through teaching young boys to be good men by instilling in them life and leadership skills, as well as the spirit of cooperation and teamwork. Let us remember the Boy Scouts of America fondly, my fellow Americans. Let us cherish the good memories that so many of us were left with after our time in the Boy Scouts. However, let us not forget that the Boy Scouts of America themselves are responsible for this grievous circumstance in which we find them. In the final analysis, it was the BSA who caved to the rabid vitriol of the globalist intersectional ideologues who, like the Polyphemus moth, convinced the BSA that they are bigger and scarier than they actually are. As one might expect when dealing with moths, these polyphemites rendered the fabric of the BSA whole-sworn and anemic, with the steady flow of legal actions being taken against the BSA in response to the inevitable results of the actions taken by the organization in recent years. Had the BSA not abandoned their traditions, these pedophiles claiming to be gay men could not have so easily infiltrated their ranks. Had the BSA not abandoned their traditions, the GSA would have no cause for quarrel with their brothers. Had the BSA not abandoned their traditions, they would not be seeking to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which all but guarantees the final dissolution of the BSA. Weep for the loss of this once great institution, but do not weep for the imbeciles who crumpled under the unsubstantial weight of idiots throwing tantrums in the streets. Learn from the moronic mistakes of these mental midgets, and do not, I repeat, do not repeat them. This insurgency into a traditional American institution for the purpose of undermining traditional American values has been a success. Let us ensure that it is their last. Let us go forward from this point with a lesson hard learned and wisdom hard gained. Let us start our own scout programs wherever we are. Young boys are in need of guidance and leadership. Young boys need to be taught cooperation and teamwork. These things cannot be learned in the presence of motivation for hyper-competitiveness. Despite the message propagated by these polyphemites, boys are meant to become men, and they cannot learn to be men without good men there to teach them and other potential men there to work alongside them in a community setting. G. Michael Hopf said, "Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times." There are hard times ahead of us, America. Let us ensure that we have strong men and compassionate women to deal with them, or I fear that we will be lost as a nation, as a people, for we are one people here. We are Americans, regardless of whatever arbitrary appendage the intersectional idiot decides to add to that. We are Americans first, last, and always. God bless.